Welcome, everyone. I'm Debbie Vale, the Festival Director of Through Women's Eyes International Film Festival, which is a production of UN Women Gulf Coast Chapter. All our net proceeds go to support programs implemented by UN Women. And we are in our 22nd year and thrilled to have such wonderful films this year. I'd like to introduce Tyler A. Chase, who is with the film A Castle in Brooklyn, King Arthur. And Tyler, you're the director?
I'm everything.
You're everything. She does it all, friends. She does it all. So why don't you tell us a little bit about how you found this story and how you got involved in this project?
I got involved in the project kind of by accident. I was working with somebody kind of filming the architecture of a building that was having some issues, the Broken Angel building, and was overhearing a lot of stress and tension and sadness, and it kind of made me sad because I saw something was going down that nobody was really caring about. And so I initiated my own self to do a movie about it. And you know, Arthur Wood gave me a lot of his confidence in his family, and I was able to start the film. But I didn't get funding, because if I had waited to get funding, I did try to get grants, but if I had really applied myself to do that, it would have been over. And I wanted to, you know, it was cinema verite. I wanted to get what was happening as it was happening. And it took 7 years.
My goodness, that's a devotion, you know, an act of devotion.
Some people call it crazy, but yeah. So I wanted to get the whole thing as it was happening, and so that's what I did. And I stood with him for 7 years, going back.
Well, it's a very compelling story, and it touches on a lot of different themes and a lot of different life, you know, parts of life. But can you give us an update on after your filming was done? Has anything changed, or is anything happening?
Well, you know, no. And I think you know, it's really sad. I think the good thing is, and what was done with the film so far, and maybe when I release it and it gets distribution, something will happen. Arthur is living. He's living in a place up north of New York, very, very far away, and kind of in exile, and in a not very good conditions. And you know, he never even received a penny for his building or his land. And he lost his wife, his dog, his cat. I mean, it's just he's happy about the film. He when I showed him the film, you know, it was a big compliment for him to say it was very good, because I really respect him as an artist, and he liked the way I told the story, and he felt that I was telling his story, and I was telling his story.
So you did him justice, which is a real high compliment.
Yes.
Yeah, I was wondering if you know, you want to talk a little bit about artists' rights. What rights does an artist really have if they can come and take everything away from you?
Don't get me going. I mean,
sorry, too soon?
Good question. I think we have rights that we take our rights. And as a woman artist myself, you know, I had to change. I basically changed my name to Tyler because nobody was hiring Amber T. Chase as a beginning filmmaker. Mm-hmm. And I don't really care what people call me. You know, I just wanted to get work. So, I mean, artists are anything that's a litmus test, anything that is being tested on society kind of begins with artists and people of color. And that's because we tend to live in areas other people don't want to live in, so that we can do our work and live where we work. Obviously, we're not, a lot of us, I'm not talking to all artists, because obviously some do work 9 to 5, and they do have that, and that's wonderful, and you know, all the best to them. But a lot of us who are independent, we live where we work. And you know, in New York in particular, the situation with the loft law, which I'm hoping is stopping now because of the virus thing, people have to work from home, right? Well, you
Right.
would think that the loft law would change now, that artists will be not kicked out because they live where they work, and that's a stupid thing to even tell people, that they can't live where they work. You know what I
Can,
mean?
can you explain the loft law? Because many of our viewers might not know about it.
Well, it wasn't really the situation with Arthur. It wasn't the loft law. I'm talking, you know, but in general, that's, you're talking about artists and how they live in New York. A lot of them do live in lofts. Artists, Arthur was, he bought his own building. He created it the way he wanted it. Um, you know, so it was a bit different. He was an owner. But as far as artists in general, trying to live, it's, we don't have any rights. And an example, I don't know a lot what's going on with the loft law now, but all I know is Deborah Masters, one of the subjects of my movie Blues of 475 and Sweet Soul in Exile, which I just, a short film I just finished last year, 2 years ago. She was kicked out, and she was living there for 20 years, and you know, they did this whole number on her, and you know, were following her around, seeing if she was using Easy Pass, and because she had to bring her studio to the north of New York, and her husband was living at 475 Kent because he's a construction guy. So they separated her family basically. Congratulations. You know, like, I don't think people should judge how other people live.
Absolutely. Well, that is, it's baffling to me that these things go on. I just, yeah, I lived in New York for a while, but I wasn't an artist, and I know that real estate's at a premium. But is this how everybody wants to get their hands on real estate? They take it away from the artists who live there. Don't that that's
Well,
a
you know,
hard
people,
thing.
I think that artists make a place cool to live. You know, it's, they want to, they try to say it's trendy. Go to buy a trendy place. It's like how people go to beautiful, pristine places just to mess them up. You know, just to put their crappy, you know, house with a big, a
Yeah.
Walmart or whatever. That's, isn't that the same thing? I mean, it's, they just can't seem to blend in and use and be able to live one with the environment and try to, you know, everyone's welcome to live next door to me as far as I'm concerned. Don't kick me out. You know, you can't have what I have.
Sure.
You can't be me by buying what I have. You can't be me. You can't be an artist just because you buy or you're living in a trendy neighborhood. That doesn't make you trendy. Sorry.
You talked about not being able to get hired as a filmmaker because you were a woman. Do you make a conscious effort to hire women on your productions?
Yes.
Oh, yay.
Yes,
And
we're a female-run company. My partner of 25, 27 years is a um, Lizette Savalas. She's the producer of the work that we do. We did theater together, and we're doing film together. And my intern's a French-Russian girl who I'm kind of sponsoring. She wanted to be able to live in New York and continue doing film, so we made an arrangement with her school. So yes, yes, I'm very biased toward women.
do
Sorry.
you see any positive changes since you started out?
Oh yeah, I think there's change. I am happy about that. It's a long time since I started out. You know, there were no female directors. There were in theater either. I mean, I
Mhm.
basically said Wendy Wasserman, I think, was one of the first people who actually did. I think it was Heidi's Chronicles or something. But when I was doing my plays, it was, forget it. You're just, and it's, I'm not being paranoid. I say it was because I'm a woman. There was no women directors, no women producers, and I think it is much better now for film. And I think that the stuff that's coming out is good.
Well,
I mean,
that's
I don't want to be hired just because I'm a woman either. I want to be hired because my stuff is good, and but I want to be given the opportunity to show it,
exactly.
to compete. You know, I don't think that anybody should have more just because we're women. We should be in a festival, because it's just, I mean, if you're good at your work, it should be, I don't
Yeah.
mind competing with guys, or I don't care.
It,
I just want
yeah, it shouldn't matter. It should be, you do your work should be judged on its merits, not on who you are.
exactly. I mean, I've always felt that way, and but it was difficult when I started out. It's a long time ago. I don't want to give my age away, because age is just a number. Mine's not listed.
I like that.
But it's a while ago, and you know, and I women don't hire women a lot of times. I see women not hiring women. They think that if it's a male cinematographer, and I do drone cinematography now, and I'm really good at what I do, but I always tell the women filmmakers, wouldn't you want to give your a job to a women drone?
Yeah, women supporting women is such a great idea, and we just need to make sure that it's happening all over. So you are making change, and that's really wonderful.
Yes, everybody. I mean, I'm not going to not hire a guy if he's really good at something. I'm not, stupid, but at the same time, I make an intentional try to, have women. And so far, it has been all women. The
That's sensible.
subject matter is not. I mean, Arthur is obviously a guy, and the subject matter is human. I am a human rights advocate. I believe in human rights. So, pain does not is not a gender a thing. Pain. People go through pain. Arthur went through pain, and it was
I
hard.
think he still is going through pain, isn't he?
He's 89, and he at this point, I really worry about him. He's
Hmm.
stubborn as hell. He's not in good shape right now, and I hope that he does get a measure of justice. It's not fair that his family, his two kids, don't get at least the money for the land, or anything. I can't even understand how it, and you can see in the movie, I kind of put all the legal stuff, so trying to figure it out at the same time,
Right.
it's pretty bad.
It
you know
is. You even went to the UN housing. Um,
yeah, Universal Periodic Review of Human Rights Violations of the United States. It was the first time it was held. Obama administration let that happen,
mhm.
and I was there for eviction, and I was calling it preemptive forced eviction. you know and
And what I mean, what did you take away from that experience?
oh, I I felt a little frustrated, because I met
Mhm.
a lot of people from you know pro bono and charity place things that could have perhaps helped Arthur. And I think you saw in the film, I was pretty frustrated because nobody helped Arthur. A pro bono lawyer could have taken on his case easily. There was a lot of evidence that things were not quite right. And listen, I'm not out to hurt anybody, and I understand ambition. I don't think it's wrong to have ambition, but I think it's wrong to hurt other people, so because
Mhm.
you want their stuff. I mean, why couldn't they pay him for his stuff?
That's yeah, that was surprising to me. Very surprising to me.
Mm,
Um,
lots.
what things did you find surprising while you were filming? Challenging or surprising or unexpected? I mean, you filmed for 7 years. There must have been some things that popped up that you didn't expect.
Well, when you film for 7 years and not in retrospect, like a lot of documentaries, you are surprised, because the people that you're filming, you have no opinion about. You're filming them at the spur of the moment, asking them questions. And then as time goes on, you find out that they're not so nice, or
Mm.
whoops, you know that's the person who did something, or they introduced somebody to something. I mean, it was shocking. It was demoralizing. I felt like
Mhm.
disillusioned is the word. And
Oh,
I'm very idealistic. I was,
right.
and I think it kind of aged me a lot. Like, it really, it was very difficult. I
Oh.
really thought people were better, and I thought that, um, yeah, it was shocking. It was hard on me. It was hard on me. It was very, very difficult. But I think a lot of documentary filmmakers go through.
Well,
Uh,
I think that's true as well, that you come across these things that disappoint you more than anything else
Yeah.
at times. And it sounds like those are some of the things that you've run into.
Yeah, it was painful. And to see Arthur, I mean, one time he was suicidal, and I was really afraid to leave him that night. I don't know if you remember when he was talking about putting the rope over the
Yeah.
elevator shaft, and that was pretty scary, because he was always this guy, like, what do you see, Arthur? I see an empty canvas. I mean, that was Arthur. And then all of a sudden to see him go down like that, I was really afraid for him. And I love him. You can't help not get attached to people. I mean, maybe you can, but I couldn't help getting attached to the people I'm spending all that time with, and being actually kind of became part of it.
Well,
um,
you wouldn't have told the story if you didn't feel something for him and his situation. And yeah, you did become part of it. You've done, amazing things for him and brought his story to the rest of us, which I would never have heard of this if I hadn't seen your film.
well, thank you. That was the least we could do for him. um,
Yeah.
I'm hoping that something changes and that this never happens again. He said he doesn't want it to happen to anyone. And but for him to he still talks about getting his building back.
Now, what's the state of the building right now? Have
Well,
they turned it into anything?
condos.
It is. It's just condos.
And
When wasn't he supposed to get one of those condos?
yeah. I mean, they said, that was the whole thing when I was filming the first bunch of promises. Then those
Mhm.
promises were broken. There was more other stuff. And after a while, I was just, Arthur, I think something's wrong here. This doesn't seem right. I said, and people were telling him, don't trust this one, don't trust that one, because it's not it's not coming out right. And when I would talk to them, after telling me, oh yeah, we're going to do this, that, and the next, and then, oh, they were laughing. They were laughing at Arthur. Some of the construction workers were laughing because I knew. And then I caught on. I said, oh, they really are making fun of him. They're really thinking it's funny to do that to a gentleman like this. And he's a sweet, sweet, sweet person, and he's very cultured. He's eccentric. I don't know anybody in New York who isn't, who's an artist. So I mean, to me, that's normal life. And
Right.
his wife, for her to do that interview with me, she told me that, that was 3 months before she died. And she said, I want to do this. And it was very far fetched, and they wanted to relive what it felt like being shot through the head. And
Oh,
it was kind of jolting, I guess, but I said, why not? And it's a strange kind of reenactment, but
yeah.
she said it was like being shot in the head. So we put the blood, and they played being shot in the head, but two really old people like lying all over the cement. And I thought, these guys are really cool, because
Right.
they were just cool. They were just,
Right.
they're nice people. They're really nice people. And I like nice people.
Oh, absolutely. To see things like this happen to nice people is heartbreaking. It's really heartbreaking.
What I did like about it, though, was that it showed such a lot of love from the community, and there was such a diverse community. And I think that was pretty unusual. In films today, we see, you know, one race or another race, and you never see everybody fighting for the same thing together. And here, they really supported Arthur. Everybody in the community supported Arthur. And they were like really, Angelique especially, and some of them were just, really love Arthur. And that was really unique, I think.
That's positive. It's if you have a community like that around you, that means so much to people.
It does. And it was beautiful when he went to move back. And I mean, this guy went through so much. He basically was evicted about, I guess, 3 times. The
Wow.
first time when they came and, you know, pulled him out of his building with a SWAT team. And then the second time was, you know, he had to go and move in Sean Anderson's place. And then he moved back. And then the third time was the final time.
Well,
So
he has certainly had a interesting life. Not all positive, but there are some positives in there, and I hope he recognizes that he his story may make a difference, as people see it.
I hope so. I would like to see some legislation so people can't just go up to you and say your place is dangerous, get out.
Right.
And
Is there any thoughts or anything you want to make sure our audience knows, or thoughts you have that you want to share with us?
um, I think if you see something that's not right, you should do something about it or say
Mhm.
something. And I don't mean to be. I'm not a person who. I don't consider myself a justice warrior or anything like that. I'm just a person, and I'm very faulted and very messed up in a lot of ways. But when you see somebody hurting and you can possibly say something or help them in some way, you should do it. That's it. If everybody did that, the world would be a better place. And you don't have to be a filmmaker to do that.
Well, I think that's the perfect note to end on. Thank you so much for your time,
Thank
Tyler.
you.
I enjoyed our conversation, and please, if you talk to Arthur, give him our best.
I
All
will.
right.
I will. And he's
Thank
really
you.
excited about this. He really is.
Oh, that's wonderful. Well, and thank you to the audience for watching, and we hope you get to see the rest of our films. And once again, Tyler, thank you very much.